Greetings, film freaks. We are the Podcorn Kernels. Join us as we discuss the hard and often indigestible truths that are at the center of the fluffy and delicious world of cinema. Season 2.
What's poppin', people? Welcome to the Podcorn Kernels podcast. My name is Adam, and joining me in your earholes is Harry. Say hello, Harry.
The Jerusalem police chief in the time of Jesus was absolutely useless. It's fair to say at the time that Jesus Christ would have been as popular or as famous as Taylor Swift, but he needed Judas to point him out for him. Aww.
On today's episode, we will be talking about The New Boy. This is a 2023 film directed by Warwick Thornton and stars Cate Blanchett, Aswan Reed and Deborah Mailman. IMDb describes the synopsis as follows. A 9-year-old Aboriginal Australian orphan boy arrives in the dead of night at a remote monastery run by a renegade nun. Here is an original song to support the synopsis.
Taken away from your home ground, stuffed in a bag and thrown around. Dark skin and a snake for a god, they say. Look and cry at this wooden cross. Your history is long gone. Time to take on another one. Your ancestors are fading. Kneel before a new deity. This nun will save you, new boy. Even though you were doing just fine, she thinks she is being kind, but her faith is making her blind.
This episode is brought to you in association with Signature Entertainment. These wonderful film distributors kindly sent over a Blu-ray for us to give the Podcorn Kernel treatment. If you like the sound of The New Boy, you can grab yourself a copy on either DVD or Blu-ray right now. Let's start with some facts about the film. Actress Cate Blanchett is a producer on this picture, which was filmed in South Australia. Her first starring role in a theatrical feature film was called Parklands, which was also shot in South Australia about 27 years ago. One other person worked on both of these productions. This was her husband, Andrew Upton, who performed duties in the capacities of continuity on Parklands and producing on The New Boy.
She hijacked the whole project.
Did she?
Warwick Thornton had written it originally for it to be like a monk or a priest, but I agree with Blanchett in this regard. She came in and she went with the subject matter or the synopsis and that front cover. If that was a priest and a boy, people were going to have thinks.
People are going to have whiffy thinks.
Big whiffy thinks.
And they're going to be like, what this priest doing with that young lad?
I think she was astute in that observation.
And that's not the audience's fault. That's the church's fault. So let's not point the blame on us for assuming based on that picture that never came to be.
No, if Spotlight's got any truth to it or holds any water, then there's definitely a propensity in the Catholic Church for noncing.
First fact in, coming in strong, coming in fast. I love it. Yeah, I just think that fact's quite a lovely one, that 27 years ago, her and her husband worked on her first ever picture, and 27 years later, they're at it together again.
That's a real couple. That sounds like real love.
I would love to be that power couple, to be in that position, to be that creative, where you're like, I'm front and centre of the film, you're producing it, it's a real family affair. It's just vibes, I like it.
Story must have meant a lot to her, to be so attracted to the project, to come in and sort of change parts of it. She must have loved it.
See, I didn't know that it was originally meant to be a priest. I like you, I think that, and Blanchett herself, I think the right decision was to go the nun route, not the priest route.
Yeah.
Warwick Thornton first wrote the first drafts of the original screenplay for this feature film over 20 years earlier.
Oh.
Now, things like this don't surprise me anymore. It took 14 years to make Ricky Stenicki. So when I hear a very personal film about faith and a native boy and finding a place within society and history, all these really meaty subject matters, when I hear that took 20 years, I'm like, well, I can kind of understand that more than Ricky Stenicki.
I wonder what it is to have faith in something you've written 20 years ago and then one day you see it in a film. That takes a lot of patience.
A hell of a lot of patience.
Most people give up. I would have given up.
I mean,
I would have burned that dog in an act of protest in my own garden.
I think I'd be there with you, to be honest. And this is no disrespect to the film.
Just slow clapping.
I mean, I had an all right time with this film, but to sit and be patient for 2 decades on a film that ends up being this, if I was going to sit on a project for that long and persevere for that length of time, I think it would have to be something really special. Now, if the director, if the guy directing this, Warwick Thornton, did think it's that special, then of course he should have waited. I don't know if that relates to the audience's reaction to it, though. I don't know if they think it's worth.
I think he should have fleshed it out. If you're waiting 20 years, he should have sat back and thought, these are huge subjects and they're huge moral questions at play here. I should turn this hour and a half script into maybe a 2.5 hours so we can really flesh out them characters.
If you're going to wait 20 years to set the dog free, you feed that dog up. So it's a big old
Nice
dog
and
when
fat.
it comes out. Yeah. And you've got the pulling power of Cate Blanchett leading the line. I tend to agree with you there. Like you said, there's a lot of interesting subject matters at play. They could have easily whopped on another 30 minutes.
Yeah, short fuses, big bangs.
Yeah. Christian Vesper, president of global drama at the Fremantle Production House, said, "The New Boy is a powerful story from the cinematic genius of Warwick Thornton, and we are honoured to collaborate with an outstanding group of actors and exceptional creatives to tell this compelling story. We all take this responsibility seriously and acknowledge that the power and success of The New Boy lies in the reclamation of Indigenous narratives and perspectives, where audiences from around the world can reflect and have meaningful conversations about the struggles for survival."
Vesper? Who's that guy?
I don't know, man. President of global drama. I got to be honest, the facts were scarce in this one. And I don't know about you, that fact, it sort of suggests that this film can provoke deep, meaningful conversations about representation, about historical prejudice, about faith, all of these things. The problem is, it might encourage that conversation, but it might not, because not a lot of people are probably going to see this film. So it feels to me like the waiting for 20 years, the big swing could potentially be a miss, because I don't know if it's down to how much it's been released, how widely released it is, but it's quite a big statement to say all of that.
Yeah, especially the first bit about Warwick Thornton's genius cinematic career or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I never heard of the man before this. That's probably a slight on me.
Yeah, I'm in that slight camp with you, because I'd not heard of him. And don't get me wrong, we're not really into the meat of this podcast episode yet. There were elements I liked about this film, but that's a big sweeping statement from a president of the production company to say all these things. And it's like, well, if I read that fact before watching the film, I would be setting myself up to be watching something special. It's a huge statement for a head honcho to say something like that.
To be blown off your feet, you'd probably be expecting.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and I don't think I was, to be honest.
No.
What did you like about The New Boy?
Just a little disclaimer. I'm really into the subject matter at hand in this film. I've not taken away too much from the technical part or the acting aspects, but I'm really interested in the subject. So one of the first things I noticed is I loved the boy's interpretation of religion, like how he stages a meet and greet between his snake and Jesus to sort of say, "Hi, welcome to my world." We're not all that different, you know. But the truth is, like, his world's been invaded by Christianity and his snakes are like dying because of it. And I found that symbolism in the film really cool.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking at similarities of this Christian sort of church, and then he sees his snakes and stuff, and he's like, oh, they look at the wooden man on the cross like I look at a snake. Because like, snakes hold a significant place in Aboriginal culture. I was reading about how like they're considered powerful spirits and beings.
Oh, really?
So reading that after, you notice the way he observes like a snake being stoned to death.
Yeah, he's shook.
Not smoking weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's shook, and then he collects them all to bring them into the church to say, you know, we could all join hands.
Yeah,
I could bring my religion to yours and stuff. And he's met with disgust. Symbolism was amazing to show the attempt at blending two religions.
I think that's really astute observation. to give you some credit there, because I think in the Catholic Church, Christianity, they're fearful of their God and they also idolise. To have put such credence on the power of a snake for it to be a spiritual, to be respected in the Aboriginal culture, like you would have to be fearful of the snake as well as like admire it, because it's a dangerous beast.
Absolutely,
and it's got those similar sort of themes with religion and, like you say, with that sort of admiration of the snake.
Well, isn't it weird that Aboriginals learnt to harness snakes, learnt to avoid being hurt by them? They saw them as protectors and guardians and messengers and stuff, just like people see Jesus, wooden versions of Jesus.
Yeah,
I found that symbolism amazing. Second, it genuinely is one of the most effective films I've seen in regards to the damage of colonialism, because it doesn't have like an evil entity in the actual narrative.
Yeah,
the people that take him in are loving and caring. The evil entity is like change, and that like a race of people are losing their history or God's beliefs, whatever you want to call it. So when you see his little Aboriginal medicine magic spark, golden snitch under the bed, die out, I found that quite tragic.
Yeah,
because he'd just been baptised, and because he accepts a foreign god, it was really sad to watch his little spark die, which was like represents his history or his heritage.
Yes.
And I thought that was potent. I thought, because in most anti-colonial films, I mean, God, RRR being one of the most recent I've seen, they're just bollocks over the tops, bloody, look at this evil nation. But in this, it was actually like kind people bringing him into their church, looking after him, feeding him, which he enjoys, because he then replicates by putting the wooden statue of Jesus in his bed and looking after it and dressing it.
Exactly, yeah.
And his spark dying is so much more effective than just seeing a big white British officer shout all of the expletives, racial expletives that he can. And I found that beautiful. And I thought, oh God, how sad. You could have really built around that moment under the bed where his spark dies because he's been baptised, and really, really pushed that home. But yeah, it just sort of got lost.
Yeah.
Got lost amongst the hay.
I tend to agree. I'm kind of conflicted about the whole spark supernatural superpower element of it. Like you, that the symbolism of it is amazing. It's incredible. Losing that spark, losing that sense of identity once you adopt another one that's different to the one that you were born into, and that losing that sense of self-worth and fitting in to survive, and all of those things I thought was really smart. And the way it shows that on the screen, that last scene where it sort of dies out is devastating, because you know what it means. And I tend to agree, like you said, the villains in films like this, they're normally so over the top, like almost pantomime villains. They're snarling, they're nasty, they eat up they're eating up the scenery, they're larger than life. For there to not really be one, it's also almost in the background. I thought that was interesting as well.
Imagine if they capitalised on that. Could have been an extremely good film. Last, nice symbolism and religious imagery in the film, really. One scene in particular, when he self-stigmatas. So he ends up in a bed and he heals over a day or two. But I like this, there's like a mixture of religion, colonialism in the imagery. So after he's woken up, he's thirsty, isn't he? And all the water glasses and bottles all in the room, they're all empty. So there's no water, but there is wine. So I shouted at screen, turn water into wine. But there was already wine, so I realised my mistake. But there is no water. So he drinks wine, and alcohol played a huge part in destroying the first peoples in many countries.
Yeah.
So strange, can't access the water. So you think about the Jesus connotations of wine and stuff, and the Eucharist. And then, he starts having a drink of alcohol, and I'm like, that's symbolism, because European nations introduced alcohol into native communities to kill them off. Well, make them bums, make them dependent on drink and stuff. I remember meeting Aussies years ago, and they're not all Aussies, obviously, and we started it. It's our fucking fault, essentially. But some Aussies, their regard of Aboriginals is quite low. They don't think much of them, and they just be they're pissheads. They can't handle their drink and stuff. And it's because they weren't really supposed to have alcohol in their life. Yeah, they weren't supposed to have fucking European diseases. They weren't supposed to have. Yeah. So it's a really deep well of really interesting subjects. But that's what I focused on. I might as well say I might have been better off watching a documentary on it. But that's not very fair, because there are elements to the film I do like. I do love the setting. I think it's quite beautiful, the sort of golden hay biscuit sort of land. And the little boy is quite interesting to watch in his sort of deer in a headlight sort of acting. He's very like everything's an experience, but he doesn't really show much emotion. I don't know if that's representative of Aboriginals, but yeah, nothing really stood out in terms of performance, but they're my likes really. I liked the subject, I liked the spark, I liked the sad undertones of losing your history.
Can I tell you something? I like your likes.
Thanks.
Because it's easy, I say it's easy, it becomes almost an easy way out when doing film review podcasts to focus on a performance, to focus on a direction, to focus on a monologue or the dialogue. It's easy. But if you watch a film and you're taking the deeper meanings at play, and that's what you really buy into, I think that's great, because like the President Vesper lad said, like there's so many interesting topics of conversation to be had from this film, and the fact that you've pinpointed them as a positive, I think is fantastic. For balance, my likes are more about the actual filming side of it, so we've covered all bases.
That's good, educate me.
Yeah, because we're the greatest. Cinematography.
Yeah.
From the striking opening shot right up until the film finished, the new boy is captured superbly. Every scene is crisp, colourful and considered, and I thought the backdrop of the 1940s Australian outback always looked authentic and was continuously aesthetically appealing. I'm also a big fan that director Warwick Thornton was his own cinematographer for this one too. It feels rare for a director to be their own cinematographer, but I admire Mr. Thornton's spinning of plates to achieve his singular vision. For me, I'm going to be honest, that did bump up my score a little bit, just to know like, oh wow, this guy's waited 20 years to make this film. He's finally got to make it. He's written it, he's directed it, and he's been like, I want to shoot this. This is my baby. Now, someone could look at that as a control freak. Another one could look at it and go, well, he's that meticulous. He's so enamored by seeing out his singular vision that he wants to do it completely his way, and I kind of respect that. I do because it could get lost in translation. I mean, there's some fantastic cinematographers out there obviously, but if he's got a very specific way he wants this film to be made, then I think he should be able to explore that.
Definitely.
I like that.
Should have fleshed it out more. Carry on.
Yeah, well, I'll build on that. It's a lovely little segue. It's the first act. I think the strongest aspect of The New Boy is watching a lone Aboriginal boy adapt to the surroundings and routines of a monastery. I found him navigating a world he really didn't understand genuinely intriguing, and seeing him learn, adapt and evolve was something I wish was leaned to a little bit more. Personally, I would have much preferred a simpler tale of one native miner juggling his own identity with fitting in, rather than the odd supernatural superpower route it ends up taking.
It's in his imagination, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one else sees the spark.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is certainly one of those films where it is definitely up for interpretation. There's the healing elements of helping the boy. There's the healing of his own hands, the snakes and stuff like
John Coffey.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Wait till we get into our dislikes.
The big JC.
Yeah. Now we're vibing. But yeah, for me, that first act, like you, as soon as the first shot was shown, I was like, oh, this looks amazing. Really striking scenery. I mean, to be fair, the Australian backdrop does a lot of the heavy lifting.
It's
you would struggle to make that look shit. I mean, it's epic, it's vast, it's all of these beautiful things.
I thought he was wrestling with a mate at the start.
You thought they were just having a little ruckus?
Well, because I thought that there's no lethality with the small kids. I thought like he'd been like partly adopted by a whitey, and then he was teaching him how to wrestle, like how to. But then you sort of then it's like, oh no, he's generally having a scuffle with a full-grown man, and then he gets boomeranged.
It does take a turn real quick.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. But yeah, for me, the first act was like fascinating. I wish it was. Don't get me wrong. I do agree with everything you said about those deeper meanings, and you've actually highlighted some symbolism that I didn't clock, and I'm glad you did, because I've just watched it this morning, so it's fresh in my mind. And there's lots to be taken away. But I think if it was fleshed out a little bit more, if it didn't try to muddy the waters, so to speak, by making it overcomplicated, I think we could have been onto a real hidden gem here.
Yeah, it's just too short, I think, potentially.
Final like, Aswan Reid. In a film with Cate Blanchett in the dual lead, I was pleasantly surprised that she was outperformed by newcomer Aswan Reid. The New Boy is a relatively quiet film, and whilst Blanchett was her usual strong self, I thought young Aswan delivered a really strong performance for such a young lad. His character was cheeky, charming and curious, and I thought he showed genuine talent in a role that asked him to deliver more than just dialogue. Representation is so important in cinema, and I hope that Master Reed goes on to be a successful Aboriginal actor that can break into mainstream cinema. Now, you're right, he doesn't actually have too much to do, but if you compare him to the rest of the child performers in this, for me, he's head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, there's an argument to be had, of course, he has a lot more to do, but the way he sort of reacts to things, his physical performance, that sort of sense of wonder and curiosity, but also being really sort of scared of the unknown, not really understanding, not really comprehending this new environment. I thought he delivered it really quite well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the role calls for deer in headlights.
Of course.
It's all so new.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you won't know until he has a really meaty role that's got more dialogue, but he's highly watchable, and he led the purpose of the film perfectly. But there wasn't enough for me to figure out if he could act or not.
I know what you mean, but I've sort of got this like intolerance of really jarring child actors. Like, to be honest, my default setting is to be kind of pissed off with them before they do anything.
Instantly.
Well, yes, it's really harsh, but I'm trying to change.
You should have been an abortion.
Well, sometimes it does go that stern. Sometimes I am that fierce because they're really off-putting and distracting. But with this young lad, I was like, as soon as he turned up on screen, I was like, I like this kid. He's cheeky. He's charming. He's endearing. He's all of these things. And he didn't have a lot to say, but he had a lot of movement, and he was energetic, and he was curious, and he was mischievous. All these things. I just liked him as a presence.
I liked him when he punched Fat McFudge right in the mush.
That's what you get.
Because the kid stands up and he's like, oh, I'm going to fight you. And he stands up and he just shakes his head. He's like, no, man, I don't want this. The guy plugs him in the stomach and then he just uppercuts him.
That's what you get.
It's great. He's accepted after that. He becomes one of the tribe.
Yeah, he does. What didn't you like about the film?
Undignified Deliveroo.
Fuck off.
Bagging up and drop shipping an Aboriginal to a monastery under cover of darkness is a bit fierce. Just handcuff the lad to your arm. Imagine being in a bag for like 8 hours because you were walking in your own country. Will you tell me to fuck off?
Listen, because we're about to conversationally cuddle. Because one of my dislikes is deliver youth.
Undignified Deliveroo, deliver youth.
Yeah. Now, I know the film is focused on how an Aboriginal child is treated in 1940s Australia, and I fully understand that life must have been tough for that particular group of people at that particular time. But I didn't like the fact that a human child was bagged up and dropped off like a takeaway from Deliveroo. Other takeaway delivery services are available. Now, I love that we both had that as a dislike. It's like a 30-second scene, if that. The poor bugger's put in a bag, launched up against the monastery and left.
Crazy.
That's
Imagine how hot and itchy that bag is as well.
Fuck that.
That is pretty unique that we got that.
Yeah.
Boom. Was that your first dislike?
It was my third dislike.
That's the only difference then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mine was chronological. So
smart.
I looked at what came first.
See, mine went to try to end on a funny note.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Different vibes, different tribes.
Yep.
I like that we shared that though. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else didn't you like about it?
The faking of Dom Peter's presence. It was a little hokey for me. I mean, I wouldn't have fell for it. If I was driving a wooden Jesus to a monastery and I heard what was clearly two women's voices shouting slut.
Well, I mean, what a sentence, by the way.
To impersonate a priest. I wouldn't buy it. I'd be like, that sounds a bit...
Yeah.
Oh, you slut. And I thought, it doesn't have a place in the film because the film has been a very quiet study on the blending of two cultures. And all of a sudden you've got this almost Laurel and Hardy scene with Kate Blanchett going into the building with the Aboriginal nun mum.
Yeah.
They called her nun mum, didn't they?
Sister mum.
Sister mum.
Played by incredibly named Deborah Mailman.
You sure it's not Darlene?
Deborah Mailman.
I know, it's just sister mum. I was thinking of some sort of incest sort of thing going on there. Yeah, I found that to have no place in the film. It tried to offer like almost a really light-hearted comedic moment.
Yeah.
And it didn't land. And I thought it kind of distracted from the film, and I didn't believe that Dom Peter was there and well and could sign a document. I just found that a bit hokey.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with that. I liked that as a plot device, that she didn't want to let the people in charge know that he's no longer around, because they would have sent someone over who'd probably been harsher on the children and sent them off on their way wherever they needed to go. She's this sort of maternal figure and she wants to do things her own way. I quite like that But yeah, in a film where you're not really watching it to find comic relief, like to have that scene almost slapstick in the smack bang in the middle, it's just a bit like.
All she had to do was say, he's ill in bed, but I'll take it to him and I'll get him to sign it.
Yeah.
And walk in and then come back out of it. But the whole, you slut, you slut, I was a bit like,
Yeah, I mean, you just added.
I think they were trying to make people laugh.
Yeah, you added layers to it when it could have been a lot more simple.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to show like the sort of in the synopsis she's described as a renegade nun. So I guess they're trying to say, oh, she's a bit of a spicy nun. This one.
Oh, I loved her for it as well. I thought how wonderful like these orphans to have quite a maternal, quite laid back woman as well. I assumed when the film started that she was going to be very strict and try and force religion down his throat, and she don't. She gives her sermons, and if he's walking around, first sermon, he just sort of looks around, goes, nah, and walks out. And she doesn't even say, come back here, you learn about Jesus and stuff. Third dislike, performances, I don't think they had enough time to warrant any massive applause. So like I said earlier, I was amazed by the message and the significance of forced change, but it didn't have the correct runtime to flesh out its characters or the character arcs. And so it sort of became a bit of a spiritual, cultural Eton mess. I was just like, you need longer. You need longer to get them characters fleshed out.
Spiritual, cultural, Eton mess are a few words that I've never heard put together before.
One's the cream, one's the strawberry.
Oh.
You smash that shit together.
But now I don't know whether to pray to it or to eat it. But either way, that's my curiosity.
That's what he said.
Is that you done on your dislikes, Dad?
I do have one last one, actually. It was just a little side one. I was debating whether to use it or not. But like nuns. Oh, yeah. Nuns believing in a religion where they were clearly considered second-class citizens for a millennia. I read up first female priest, and this is a rarity for the time, hugely rare. I think it might have even just been figuratively, but the first female priest, Reverend Florence Letimoy, was ordained in 1944 in Macau. That, I mean, in the bigger picture, that's not even that long ago, is it? No, God no. And this film's set just before 44, isn't it? It's World War. Is it World War One or Two? This film, I couldn't tell because the Anzac soldiers looked like the World War One soldiers with their, half-pinned hats and stuff. But I actually don't know. Does it say in the synopsis? I think it's 40s. Yeah, so it's two. I could be wrong. So it's World War Two. I think it's 40s. It probably is World War Two because of that big truck. Like they had very rarely did you have vehicles in World War One. They were quite very scarce. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably the beginning of World War Two or middle of World War Two. So yeah, so at the time, even Kate Blanchett, at the time, no female priests, none. You were just nuns. Yeah. It's just weird that you would settle into a religion where you're literally told you're a second class citizen. But yeah, just strange. I don't mind your negative nun. I want a female pope. I want a female pope. Yeah, you do. That is no older than 40 because I'm so sick of seeing crusty old 90-year-old bastards. Yeah. They all look the same. I can't tell what pope I'm looking at from the last year or 20 years ago. He could be the same dude. The codger Catholic cabbages are we've seen them marked as red. We know them. Yeah. Let's mix it up a little bit. Mix it up. Yeah. Give me 40-year-old female pope or give me any other nationality other than fucking European pope. Yeah. Give me any other. Give me an African, strong-willed female pope. Give me an Inuit, strong-willed female pope. Yeah. I just changed the place that they were from. Yeah, but it still worked. Just give it. And give one that can live a little longer. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. That's it, man. That's all I got. They're strong dislikes. My main dislike is native ET Aboriginal Green Mile. The new boy starts off strong, but it soon evolves into a young child having healing powers. It felt akin to E.T., and I am not sure if replacing an alien with an Aboriginal child is enough of an original idea, to be honest. The fact he has powers that seem to be amplified when closer to Jesus felt a little too close to Green Mile and John Coffey for me. As stated in my likes, I wish the film had kept the premise simple, because I think that a story of an outcast orphan trying to fit in is far more interesting than a character having these unexplained abilities. There
There is, of course, an argument that these abilities were symbolic of him not losing his spark and showing others that there is value in different. But I'm not sure if that is right or if it is me digging for something that just isn't there. Now, everything that you said I do tend to agree with. And on the second watch, I actually did vibe with the more sort of symbolic, supernatural stance a lot more than I did first time. But it did reek of Green Mile. It did reek of E.T. and just replacing John Coffey or E.T. with an Aboriginal child. I was like, I don't know. Is that in this day and age? Is that problematic? Or is my mind being polluted by political correctness that I'm just by default looking for?
No, I think you'd have to read into the Aboriginal beliefs. So they believe all them hand gestures that they do and stuff, that's like the summoning of their spirits or the snakes and stuff. Like you could interpret the miracles you see on screen in two ways. When he puts his mouth to the kid's neck, he could be drawing poison from somewhere near the neck because he knows about snake bites. Pull it from the neck because he's already been bit on the leg. It's travelling up. Or maybe there could be explanation of both. That it's potentially when one of the boys has been burnt in a bushfire, it could just be the boy letting him know, I'm here with you, you're safe. That makes him calm down and close his eyes, and he's exhausted. So it could either be miracles or it could just be how the Aboriginal lad Aswan Reed sees it.
Yeah,
I think it's all interlaced with their beliefs, which we don't know about.
I think you did your due diligence there, and I think you did the right thing and read up about it a bit more. I mean, I say a bit more, a lot more. I did know reading up about their culture and stuff like that.
Oh, I've become an Aboriginal.
Yeah, I did think you looked a bit different.
It's that easy. It's that easy. You just say it, and I'm it.
Yes.
That ain't staying in.
Why? Why not?
Because it sounds like
you can identify as an Aboriginal.
No, because it sounds like a slight. But I was actually making a joke about how because I read one page on Aboriginals, that I now think I'm an Aboriginal.
Hey, you did more than I fucking did, and then I've just decided that I'm going to slag it off for trying to be a native ET Aboriginal Green Mile. So
fun.
It's all good. My last dislike is that insecure identity. Just to build on my last point, really, the new boy felt like it was unsure what it wanted to be. Part coming-of-age tale, part religious commentary, part supernatural, part historical portrait, and part make-up-your-own-mind narrative. The film suffered at not sticking to one lane, in my personal opinion. I love adventurous filmmaking, but some of the decisions in this one felt like a misstep, and I, for one, found the narrative convoluted and the plot a little confusing. Now, again, this was written after my first viewing, and I do stand by what my likes and dislikes are, but after hearing your take on it, I have maybe not changed my opinion, but taken your opinion and pondered upon it.
This film was just an obituary to Aboriginal heritage, essentially, and that's my favourite like.
But I think, I might come across as a bit dumb or a bit ignorant here. I think if it was made to be more blatantly that, I'd have enjoyed it more. For me, for the interpretation, the perspective, the having to work for what it is that it means, which I have no problem in doing. I love doing that. I love when a film's like, it could be this or it could be that.
See, that's all I saw by watching it. All I saw was it was showing you the slow sort of assimilation of and the sort of destruction of Aboriginals. That's all I saw when I watched it.
Well, that's amazing. If there was to be marked, if Warwick Thornton was marking viewers based on what they took away on it, you probably get an A.
Well, no,
I'd probably get a D.
But I took that. So George, I think it's George, the Australian farmhand, the big guy who loves his marmalade. So you can tell he's quite bitter towards Kate Blanchett. He's like, you're going to wet his head, are you now, and stuff, because and the way the reason I feel like he turns his back on Aswan Reed throughout the film is because he feels guilty, because he even says, like, that boy's a medicine man. He feels guilty that he's become westernised, and this little lad's still out there, being more practical, being able to save people through his magic. Yeah, I saw it like that. Almost like I Am Legend.
Okay.
The last man.
Yeah.
Because he's about to become legend.
That's interesting.
That's all I saw.
I think you're probably right. To be fair to you, from what you've said, I'm probably coming across as a fucking div in this one.
No, because you were watching it for the craft, filmmaking.
But then
it was almost documentary, for me.
I guess it is indicative of what the the film is. The fact that you've watched it and gone, it's got a very clear identity, it means this. And the fact that I've watched the same film and gone, I don't know if it's trying to be this or trying to be that. I guess that's why this is a film, if you look online, that's got very...
It's his intention, I think.
It's as the producer said, it evokes conversation. It's got deeper meanings. It's got important subject matters. This film has been made to encourage conversation about representation, about religion, about faith, about changing who people are. And to be fair to it, I mean, it's done that in this episode. But for me, yeah, I'm still not entirely sure. I'm still not, even with what you said, I am leaning towards agreeing with you, but I'm still not entirely sure. And I think that's why the ratings for this one are a bit all over the place. Some people seem to really, really love it. A lot of people seem to like really abhorrently despise it, but I think both ends of the spectrum are wrong for me personally. I don't think it's great enough to highly laud it, and I don't think it's bad enough to slag it off.
I think if I saw the DVD or the poster, I'd be like, I really want to see this film.
Striking, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's probably why it's got lower ratings, because it promises a lot just by the way. But, you know, wonderful looking Aboriginal kid with blonde hair, Kate Blanchett in a habit with no makeup on. You're like, Oscar bait. Yeah. But then you get into it and it really ain't.
Yeah, I tend to agree, yeah. I got some questions. Kate Blanchett might well be my favourite actress working today. Who is your favourite actress?
Probably a toss-up between Charlize Theron or Emma Stone.
Oh,
one of them two.
I mean, both of those two would be in top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I think
They're doing some fantastic work.
And I've been watching Charlize Theron for so long. I mean, you see her transformation in Monster. You see her as
incredible,
badass in Furiosa.
Incredible.
Fury Road. She's done some great films.
Yeah,
she's brilliant. Funny as well. She's done comedies with Seth Rogen and that. So she's got a lot going on. And Emma Stone's the same. She could do comedy, serious stuff. Yeah, probably one of them too.
That's a great answer. Yeah. I'd say that, yeah, they probably would be top 3, Kate Blanchett, and then the toss-up between Emma Stone and Theron, because I'm a big fan of both of them as well.
I only work on top 10s, I think. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. You start getting into 3s, things get hard.
I'd struggle to give 10 right now because I haven't given it enough thought. Off top of head, I'm not good at top of head person, man.
Take a long time.
If you were a child orphan, which actress would you like to take you in and care for you?
Eva Green.
Yeah. And no more needs to be said, really, because I've gone Monica Bellucci.
Eva Green, Monica Bellucci, full stop.
Because they just look like fantastic mummies.
And that's personal, and I don't have to elaborate as to why.
We just think they're fantastic mummies. And if you think there's anything deeper in that, that's a you problem, listener.
Green eyes, I came here with love.
I just think if I was scared and alone in the world, that either one of them would help me feel less alone.
Don't elaborate. Don't elaborate.
I want to...
milk.
Be happy.
Be happy.
What are your 3 favourite films set in Australia?
Oi! Mad Max 2.
Oh.
Fury Road. Outback with Donald Pleasance.
Haven't seen.
Watch.
I watch.
It's brilliant. You'd love it.
I watch.
Priscilla, Queen in the Desert.
Haven't seen.
Really good.
Watch.
Yeah, definitely. There's some brilliant. I don't go in very much for like your Wolf Creeks and stuff. But yeah.
Haven't seen that either.
You can't talk about Australia and not talk about George Miller. Isn't Rabbit Proof Fence set in Australia? About the Aboriginal orphans.
I don't know.
Oh, it's been years. I'd have to look back into that. I could be wrong. Could be Maoris. I haven't seen it for years.
I love that you've given a few more niche mentions than the ones that I probably offer.
Very, pro-Australian, supporting the Australian film industry. That's me right here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And representation in the Catholic Church. You're doing all the right things today, huh? Mine are Mad Max Fury Road. Just love it. I mean, how can you not love it? Chopper.
I forgot about Chopper. Shit. And Romper Stomper.
Romper Stomper and Chopper. What a double feature.
Well, they were the origin stories of Banner and Crow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And both notorious dirt characters.
Yeah. And The Proposition. I don't know if you've seen that with Guy Pearce. That's a gritty Australian film. Basically, Guy Pearce's brother is like held hostage and will only be released if Guy Pearce goes and kills someone that is kidnapping his brother's got beef with. So it's a really weird transactional dealing with death. Great
sounds
film.
strange.
It's a great film. I recommend you watch that. It's a good one.
Yeah.
What would you rate The New Boy out of 10, please?
6.
Okay.
6. It was pretty. I loved the message, the symbolism within it, but yeah, I think it would be cruel to give it a 4.
Yeah, I would say.
And I think I took enough from it. Like I was saying, a powerful anti-colonial film. Not that that's what he may have intended, but the way I looked at the spark dying out under the bed was powerful.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I give 6.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I didn't know where you would stand on this one. I didn't know. I didn't think you would necessarily hate it. I didn't think we'd have a RRR on our hands. If you want to hear Harry hate on something, please tune into that episode.
RRR is a huge pile of shit.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because it was made as a serious film.
Yeah.
And it ain't.
Please do. If you want to hear that elaborated on, please tune into that episode because there's lots of feels in that one. But yeah, I didn't know what you would think, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I thought after the first watch. Really, I thought, there's a lot like you. There's a lot of it I did like. There's a lot of it that didn't work for me. So that's why I've gone a little lower, and I've given it a 5.5 out of 10. That gives The New Boy a total score of 11.5 out of 20. If you like your dramas to be desolate, disjointed, but delightful to look at, or if you've ever wanted to see an orphaned Aboriginal act like an amalgamation of an isolated alien and an ailment-healing angel giant, then The New Boy could be a film for you. The New Boy is distributed by Signature Entertainment and is available to buy on DVD or Blu-ray now. Consider watching this one if you enjoyed Silence, E.T. and The Green Mile. Should we play a game?
Give it a name, give it a name, give it a name now. We birth a plot and then make a trailer. What the plot?
Action! A desperate woman in an abusive relationship hires a hypnotist to turn her toxic partner, who she still loves, into a dog. She wants to turn the tables and wishes to stay with her husband, but she wants to be in complete control of him instead of the other way round. She thinks that she can change him if he is her pet, and part of her wants vengeance in the form of her owning him. This starts off well, with the hypnotised husband doing exactly what he is told. The wife revels in the fact that her husband is now at her beck and call, but starts to mistreat him in a further act of retribution. Eventually, this husband-turned-dog starts becoming aggressive. He no longer does what he is told, he starts to think for himself and becomes increasingly intimidating. Once again terrified by the behaviour of her dog husband, this woman asks the hypnotist to reverse the changes and turn him back into a fully functioning human. This backfires, with the hypnotist being killed by the woofy wife-beater. The moral of the story is, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. The woman is now in the same situation before, but now with a husband that is more rabid dog than human.
I smell some influence from Poor Things from the end when Chris Abbott is...
Yeah, duck dog man, or whatever he is, whatever he becomes.
Any blend of three animals and you're basically there.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. How does she persuade an abusive husband to go to a hypnotist?
I think he's smoking. He's a smoker, and he's agreed to get off the cigarettes, and he thinks it's being hypnotised to get off of cigarettes or something like that. Or it could be couple counselling, and it's actually there's a way around it.
I don't think she could persuade him if he's such a cunt.
Yeah.
But what I do think could happen is the hypnotist teaches her the methods, and she uses it in the house.
That could work.
She starts like, when the bell goes, gives him a sweet or something.
That
starts to change it. Pavlovian conditioning.
That could, if you want to take it there, that's the way it can go.
It's just, I've known some arseholes. Yeah. I can't imagine they'd ever be in for, even to quit smoke. I don't think they would.
You're probably not wrong.
They'd be sadistic little motherfuckers.
But you found a little plot hole and you've solved it, so I like that.
I find that brilliant that she's married to a bellend and you're going to turn him into a dog.
Yeah.
That's cool because
oddball.
It'd be lovely and derogatory.
Yeah,
to see him like on all fours eating pedigree charm, and I reckon she films it, videos it, so when he does ever come out of his stoop, she can go, "Look at you, dog man! I'm going to share this to the whole world, ruin your career, ruin everything if you don't back the fuck
It's
off.
that she's conflicted. She still loves this guy.
No, she don't, does she?
She still does, I think, or she's addicted to the drama, or he's got such a hold on her. Like, I think she wants to reprimand him in the most embarrassing way possible. She wants control. I don't think necessarily she knows if she still wants to stay with him. I think she wants to really degrade him, really put him through the ringer, treat him like a shit, I think. And what she wants is, instead of her being in complete control to his every whim, he is in control of her, like a dog, like a loyal dog, going where, come here, sit, go and eat your dinner, get out, all of these things.
I heard a song after you said a line then. You got a hold on me. You got a hold on me. Randy Newman?
Toy Story?
Yeah, we bring him into this, but in a domestic violence situation.
Yeah.
Imagine Randy Newman doing the music for a domestic violence film.
Yeah.
Oh no, she undercooked the carrots again.
Yeah.
Shit. Sorry.
No, that's the first time you've casted a composer.
so
true. I think that's
Larry
fantastic.
Newman doing the music. I was thinking, because like you said, it's odd.
Yeah, it's highly, highly odd.
But I don't want to use Lanthimos because I used him before. You've used him, I've used him, we've used him too much.
We love Lanthimos.
Yeah. David Lynch?
Oh, yeah, hello.
Maybe. Only because he can do something like a straight story, but he can also do the crazy, batshit crazy.
Mulholland Drive.
Did he do a Razorhead?
Yeah.
That was Lynch,
I think he
wasn't it?
did, yeah.
He can mix. He
Twin
can do a bit
Peaks.
of mixing, or it would have been, but I've not seen enough of his films, Richard Kelly for Donnie Darko.
I think I can see Lynch.
Who you
This is
think?
Lynchian.
Lynchian?
I reckon. I like that, yeah.
The minute you said hypnotist, and it's lazy because of Better Call Saul, but I want the Bob that Odenkirk.
Yeah, because
The
they're
hypnotist.
whiffs a bit of con man.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. I'd have Bob Odenkirk. Or, is he a charming one?
I'd say he'd have to be for people to buy into what he's doing.
I want Christopher Abbott, but he's so good looking. He's got them ocean brown eyes, and I know it doesn't make sense, but I could look into his eyes like they are an ocean.
But if I had to choose out of those two, it'd be Christopher Abbott.
Yeah, I want him.
I think he's an exciting prospect, and he's going to go on to do great things. I think it would be another element that the husband's sort of threatened by him because he's an attractive lad, and that transfers to when he's a dog, because he still feels threatened by this attractive, charming man. That even when he's a dog, that could be one of the reasons why he goes for him, is because he's got it against this charming dude.
I think hypnotism is more effective if the person that's doing it is, you find them really attractive, really soothing. Because if they're whispering in your ear and stuff, you're like, oh my god.
I think we've all been cast under the spell of someone attractive, whether it's a movie star or someone in our everyday, our partners, whoever it is.
It actually would suit Abbott a lot better if, based on the next two castings. Odenkirk probably wouldn't fit in this film. So yeah, Abbott for hypnotist.
Yeah.
I wanted, because I've been really liking what I've seen her in, but you might have to help me on her last name. Margaret Qualley?
Margaret Qualley.
Qualley.
I think that's...
Hairy Armpit Hippie from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, and she was in Poor Things too.
She's brilliant. Yeah,
She's
she was the lesser.
Yeah,
the lesser
she
Bella.
She was the backup Bella.
The backup Bella.
Yeah.
She didn't quite have the trajectory that Bella had.
Yeah.
Sort of a prototype, put it in the cupboard.
Yeah.
For Bad Boy, now I'm hitting similar looks and ages in this cast, and I think this works really well. Emil Hirsch for Dirty Husband.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he's never really ventured into a bad guy role, but I think he could do it.
But isn't it often the smallest of men that are the biggest of dickheads?
I'm going to put that on my gravestone. That's spot on. You might have heard me having a little type when you were reading out the plot, because I wanted to change some words into Latin.
Okay.
For the title.
Oh, me likes this.
Yeah, I'll give you a title and then I'll tie it up.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it.
So hang on, you're giving me a Lynch Latin title?
I am.
Oh, I'm going to make a mess.
I am. I'm going to give you the title. You tell me what you think it means.
Oh.
Matrimonium Canis.
Marriage dog.
Yeah!
It's actually. Yes.
Matrimonium Canis. And I'd have Lynch directing, starring Christopher Abbott, Margaret Qualley.
Apologies if that is wrong.
And Emil Hirsch, and I call it Matrimonium Canis.
When you wake up, you will be a dog. Dog. dog, 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 dog. When you wake up, you will be a dog.
I was born to be free.
Dog. Dog, 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 dog.